Now what you hear is not my T.S.O rapping to the beat. Me, the goon, and my friends try to move their feet. Now I am one man, and I like to say hello to the black, white, red, and yellow.
Mac Miller was a beloved artist who produced beautiful music for millions of fans. A rapper who cut through his genre and carved his own path. Sadly, one that was cut short. While I didn't know him personally, and our paths never crossed, I did grow up with Mac. Now I'm not going to pretend to be Mac's biggest fan or know every little detail, but this is his life from my perspective and how it affected me. Mac's estate will be releasing what will likely be his final album this week, and I felt like it was a good time to reflect on his work and how it influenced my life. Malcolm James McCormick was born on January 19, 1992 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This puts Mac and myself pretty close in age, which is why I think his music resonates with me so much. He got into music early and began his career young, but the first time I came across Mac was when his hit Donald Trump came out, which I would describe as a frat boy party song. At this time, I was in high school, and this song embodied a lot of the fun personality that I pretended to have on the inside, but which was not expressed on the outside. Like the songs, my musical interest didn't have much depth at this time, so I never ended up exploring any of his other music. The following years, the only other instance I came across Mac was when he featured on Ariana Grande's hit, The Way. I knew little about him in the first place, but this changed the way I viewed him. Maybe there's something deeper to his music than I was initially exposed to. Maybe he has more sides to him as a musician. Regardless, I kept the song in heavy rotation at the time. For Mac. I largely skipped Mac's next album watching movies with the sound off. I guess I just gravitated more to the likes of Justin Timberlake, Daft Punk, and Eminem at this time. When he released his next project, Good A.M., I distinctly remember The Weeknd featuring Miguel being the soundtrack to my life in around 2015-2016. It perfectly encapsulated the feeling of highs and lows from week to week. Although I didn't reserve as much plays for the rest of the album, I did listen to more of his music as a whole. 100 Grandkids is a banger though. Then came the
Devine Feminine, an album by Mac Miller.
This album was a turning point for me as I distinctly remember a majority of my friends disliking it due to him moving away from rap. Now don't get me wrong, I love rap. At this time I was listening to a ton of the Big Three, Kanye, and Chance the Rapper. But this album satisfied a different itch. This seemed to be Mac's most complete concept with its funky and jazzy feel and its deeper subject matter. This was getting tons of plays from me, although maybe not around those friends. While I didn't share many of the experiences Mac put forward on this album, a lot of the themes of life, love, and relationships were on my mind at this time. At this point, I was now a fan, and for much of the time waiting for his next release, I was looking back at his catalog that I had previously missed. I now realize his talent from the start, and that's on me, I know. His next drop wouldn't come until summer of 2018 when he released 3 singles on the same day, those being Buttons, Programs, and Small Worlds. The latter 2 getting most of my plays. These songs left me wondering the direction of his next project as all 3 had very distinct styles. This question would end up being answered by the end of summer with the release of Swimming. It continued down the path of funk and jazz with deep lyrical content that spoke to me immediately. Now, I wasn't fighting the battles of addiction like Mac, but as someone who has a hard time showing emotion, this album described a lot of the same feelings and emotions that I felt. This album proceeded to get most of my plays for the next month, and left me with hopes of attending his next tour. Unfortunately, this would never happen, because on September 7th, 2018, Mac would fall to his struggles he so openly talked about. As I said before, I would never classify myself as Mac's biggest fan, or even a fan of any celebrity, but this felt like a loss of a friend. His music now took a new meaning, and for a while it was very hard to listen to. It was a sad loss of a beautiful human. It left me with the hard-to-accept fact that there would no longer be any more new music from someone who had become one of my favorite artists. A post from Mac's Instagram. His estate was announcing new music, a full-length album that would be a companion to Swimming called Circles. It was hard not to cry upon first listening, knowing how the story ends. This album was so beautiful, hearing his artistry hit a new chapter. It's an easy full listen that is often the soundtrack to my runs and races to this day. It gives me the feeling that I'm floating and it never gets old. It leaves me wondering where his career would be today if it wasn't for his untimely passing. I want to close on thanking the Mac Miller estate for all they have done for Mac's legacy, his fans, and myself. Not only did we get to experience Circles, but they have brought many of his mixtapes and bonus tracks to streaming services, ensuring that old and new fans will be able to enjoy his music for years to come. With the upcoming release of Balloonerism, which I believe was originally recorded back in 2014, this will likely be the last release for Mac. While sad, he will always be celebrated through his music and the Mac Miller Fund, a nonprofit that helps young musicians realize their full potential as well as help address substance abuse in the music industry. I'll leave links down below if you find yourself interested in donating to this fund, as well as numbers if you find yourself struggling with substance abuse. I'll add that Mac Miller's official website, many of the purchases also donate a portion of the proceeds to this fund. And that's it. Please drop a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and let me know what you thought about the video. Also, leave a comment to tell me what's your favorite Mac Miller song. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.